In Section 3, we're going to talk about how to get started in other distribution channels so that you get the data you need to be able to get into the mass market when you are ready.
Is the goal of this section to prove some product sales, to have some ammunition, some proof before I approach Walmart or any of the buyers at these mass merchandisers so I can show them hard numbers that this product sells? Is that what we're trying to accomplish in this section?
We're trying to do a couple things. One is to get the data that we need to prove to Walmart or Target that they should take our product because we've proven it'll sell. The other thing we're doing is, remember in the prior section I talked about financial capability. Well, one way to get the financial capability is to build up your business. So what I did with my company, I did not start with a mass market. I didn't have the financial resources to do that. I started selling gift and stationery stores and built up 8,000 or 9,000 independent retail customers where the product was blowing through the stores and doing great, built my company up to about 3 or 4 million in sales before I started approaching the mass market. So there's two things that this will help you do. One, prove it sells. And two, build your business and sales up so that you have the financial capability to do business with them. You may be thinking, again, just like in the last section, that this is too much, you're not going to be able to do it. But remember, we had 5 ways of how you get into these stores. What we're talking about right now is the building of a company way, which is the most expensive, highest profit way. But don't forget, you can license an idea, or you can use several of the joint venturing capabilities as a way to do this. And that may be the best way to find another company that is already in some sort of retailer that can test your product.
So let's talk about some of the ways. Can you start with some ways that I can test distribution inexpensively?
Sure. We have a number of different ways you can test something inexpensively. One way would be to go online, sell products on the internet using traffic from Google AdWords to find out if people will buy it. Another good way, if you have the product far enough along that you have your packaging done, is to put your product in some small independent stores on consignment. If you put it in the store and tell the store owner you'll just put it there for free and you share the money, or maybe even let them have all the money when it sells. That's another way to get a test, and most independent retailers will cooperate with that, especially if you give them the money. And for those of you who are not familiar with consignment selling, what that means is you put the product in the store at your expense, and then when the store sells it, you keep track of the sales, and there's 2 ways of going. One way is you split the money with the store, and the other way is you give them all the money. And that is part of the negotiation of getting it in there in the first place. What you're wanting to find out is if your product will sell, and you're wanting to get it on the shelf so that you can find that out. In the sticker business, one of the ways we got started and found out what would sell, when we talk about product development a little later, I'll tell you how I can make sure I didn't have any new product failures. But what it all comes down to is market testing, and I was able to easily convince a store to put my products in. All I had to do was say, I'm going to put in this big floor display of stickers. This thing's worth $1,000. I'm not going to charge you any money. You can pay me after they sell, and you get 75% of the sale instead of 50%. So it's a no-risk thing to them. Then what I was able to find out is what did people buy. And we had a lady at our company whose only job was to stay in touch with these stores. We called them our market test stores. We had about a couple hundred market test stores all over the country. And we put a product in there, and she would call at least once a week to every store to find out how many was sold. The thing you want to do when you do this consignment testing is you want to make sure there's always product there to sell. If you have a display that holds a dozen of something and you put it in 10 stores and at the end of 2 months half the stores are sold out and the other half aren't, what you really want to know is when did those half sell out. If you didn't check it for 60 days, they might have sold out in a week, or they might have sold out in 60 days, and that makes a huge difference. You need to know that. Like we were with stickers, we had many different designs. A single display would hold 128 designs. So we needed to know which designs did people buy. We're creating little pieces of artwork here. What do people like? So the way you do that is you put your display up with 128 designs on it, and you make sure you have no out of stocks. You make sure you're in touch with that store every week, or however often you need to be, so that none of them get sold out, so that you get a true reading as to what people want to buy. If you're sold out of something, and some designs sell out in a week, if you don't replenish that, and you check 30 days later, you're going to say, okay, it's sold in 30 days, but really it's sold in a week. Your turnover was 4 times what you thought it was. collecting your data right and handling the inventory in the store while you're doing your testing is important.
So all this data should be documented because you're going to use this as ammo when you approach the buyers.
That's right. And even when I'm selling to an independent store, I want to do it that way with them too. Once you get some data together and you want to sell the independent store, you want to take the same approach. You want to tell them, hey, this stuff sells. We've had it in this store, this store, this store. They sold out in a month. And you want to use that same data with them. For the big chains, you want to have a preponderance of data. For the little ones, knowing that a store down the street sold some is probably better than nothing, and it might be enough to get you in there.
How can I evaluate if my product's got direct mail potential or catalog potential without having to spend any money?
Sort of like what you did with, are you ready for the mass market? And if your product is appropriate, you went and looked. You do the same thing with, say, let's start with catalogs. There is a directory you can get at a library or buy. It is a directory of all the mail order catalog companies in the United States. And this thing is like 800 pages long and has maybe 10 or 20,000 catalogs in there. It's broken out in categories. So if you have an automotive product, you go in there and look at an automotive section and find the 50 catalogs that sell automotive. Get samples of their catalogs and find out what's in there now. And do they have your category? If you're making motor oil, the chances are pretty good that people don't sell that by mail. And you won't find any oil in an automotive catalog. That's the best way to find out is what do they sell now. The second thing is just like we did for mass market where you look at the retail price and divide it by 5. Same thing with a mail order catalog. Dividing it by 5 is a good idea there too, even though they're not going through 2 steps of distribution. It's 1 step, but there's a tremendously high cost associated with mailing millions of catalogs. So that step is similar to the 2 steps in a retail environment. If you can't sell your product to the mail order catalog company at 1/5 of the retail price, you might not have an opportunity.
Can you give me some ideas on how I can sell to independent gift, stationery, and specialty retailers for testing my product?
Yeah, this is a market I've been in, so I'm very familiar with it. And there is a very interesting and seemingly illogical thing that goes on here. In the independent stores, whether it's gift and stationery or toys or whatever independent stores, if the product is not packaged, it doesn't have a UPC code on it, it doesn't have packaging, it's loose. And here's this product loose in a little bin with 24 more of them loose. Those products sell for more money than the same product would if it were packaged and in a Target, which seems weird because you're adding a lot of cost in the packaging. And the reason why is because when a product is loose in bulk in an independent store, it does not look like it's something sold in a mass market.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. You know, many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.